Bengals getting ready for Monday Night Football. We'll talk about this in a Q&A coming up next on Wincinnati Podcast.
It's an exciting time to be a Bengals fan.
I'm Ace.
We got a special show as always.
The voice of the Bengals. Dan Ford, Willie Anderson, Corey Dillon.
The name of this thing is called Wincinnati, and I'm not going to stop.
Talk to us about that roller coaster season.
I'm still going to give you the same AJ.
I'm going to work as hard as I can to be the best.
Always working ever since I met y'all, boy.
I got to get your top 5 receivers.
Better, man.
Good. Watch out for us.
Welcome to the Wincinnati Podcast. I am Ace. He is Zim. Zim, how you doing tonight, bro?
Doing pretty good. Just drinking a little hot cider. Toes twinkling in the nighttime. You know, getting real cozy in here. Chilling. Getting ready for a football game on Monday night. How about you?
I'm doing the same, bro. Holiday season, getting some things done. Kids are all over the place with activities right now. So doing that thing, but coming up on today's show, we're obviously going to get into the Bengals Monday Night Football matchup against the Jacksonville Jaguars. We'll talk about that, what we kind of foresee happening with that. Also, we want you guys to send in your questions. We're going to do a live Q&A. So if you're in the chat now, definitely get ready to put your comments and questions in there because we will answer those live. And then also we'll talk about what the future looks like for the Cincinnati Bengals. All right, Zam, let's get into it, man. Obviously, the big matchup is the Monday Night Football game. Obviously, we don't get to see Burrow versus Trevor Lawrence like we once saw, me and you once saw in 2021 in primetime. We don't get the opportunity to see that. However, it's still an interesting game for the Bengals. They're going to be responding for the first time in primetime with Jake Browning. And the last time Jake Browning was in primetime, it was in relief of Joe Burrow going down. Now he's going to be taking center stage against a team in Jacksonville that is actually pretty good. What are your thoughts going into this game, this matchup? What does it mean for the Bengals in this Monday Night Football matchup?
It on one end, it means a lot in the overall scheme of things where the Bengals players have to be able to prove to themselves that they can win games without Joe Burrow. I keep on saying that because they need to know and believe in themselves, and they need to believe in the coaching staff, whether they bring everybody with them or not. The message can run stale, and nobody wants, from a free agent destination, nobody wants to play for a team that is deemed as like you got this injury-prone quarterback and you're not winning games. They need to win games. Like, I really do. So from that standpoint, it is important. The Jaguars are, like, to me, in most power rankings, they have them ranked as 6th or 7th in the NFL, believe it or not. They've only lost 3 games. And I think, Trevor Lawrence has been playing some of his best ball lately. So there's a lot of different things that I think that the Bengals need to, like, kind of pay attention to if they have any aspirations of winning this game, which I think that they do. One of the things that I wanted to talk about mainly has been the tackling in the rush defense. Travis Etienne is 2nd in the NFL at 194 attempts. He is also 5th in the National Football League as far as rushing touchdowns with 7. Rushing yards, he's 7 at 726. Only about 100 more than Mixon. Just want to throw that out there for the Mixon cutters. But that would make him like 7th in the NFL. I already went over the rushing attempts, but he's one of the main guys in the NFL that you consider like a top 5 running back, I think, currently in the NFL. And I know that Trevor Lawrence is going to get a lot of the highlights, but I feel like, to me, that's one of the biggest things that I'm paying attention to is can they stop Travis Etienne? And then also Evan Ingram, who is on my fantasy football team that I talked about last week. I think that could be a huge focal point for this team. And I think the Bengals haven't done anything to stop any tight ends any week the whole entire season. And I would love to see if Lou Anarumo can cook up something to stop that. Do you have any thoughts on that? I guess on the Jaguars' offense? You're muted.
You would think that this Jaguars team will be a team that really like leans on Travis Etienne, and when you kind of look at some of the numbers, they do run a little bit. However, they're just not really good when it comes to that. Yards per rush, they're averaging 3.7. Rushing yards per game, they're 18th. You would just expect with a guy like Travis Etienne that they would really be leaning on him a lot. But teams have really realized that the Jacksonville pass defense is really susceptible. They're giving up a lot of yardage. So teams are actually opting to pass. Now they pass as well. It's just not at a huge clip. Like they are more balanced. I will say that they're passing 55% of the time, which is 25th in the league. So they do try to run the ball. It's just not super effective. It's not super efficient when it comes to that versus a Bengals team that doesn't really run the ball, right? Like on the flip side for our rushing, this is a team in Jacksonville. If this is the game that you want more rushing to happen, their rush defense is actually pretty good, which is kind of crazy. They're number 4 in the league when it comes to that right now. They're holding opponents to 87.4 yards per game. So I think for us, I think it lines up for us defensively. Obviously, Etienne is definitely a guy you want to key on, but I'm kind of looking at the passing offense. And if you want to have any kind of chance, I think in this game, it's kind of a situation where we're going to lean on like DJ Turner, right? It's a situation where we're going to lean on Cam Taylor-Britt if he's back this week, if he's healthy enough to play. I know he was getting turned out there today, but it's a situation where if Trevor Lawrence, as good as he's been, he has been susceptible to turning the ball over. Very, very much similarities to Josh Allen in that aspect, right? A toted quarterback that could be considered possibly elite, but one of the flaws is they kind of throw some head-scratching interceptions. I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen, but if you want to be in this game, you're going to have to force some of those turnovers and continue to do that. From my perspective, though, with them giving up so much when it comes to the passing game, is this a game that you go back with the Jake Brown and Burrow plan? Or if it is a passing thing, obviously you don't want to do the Burrow thing, but how can you make that work in a team that's susceptible to the pass?
I from this point on moving forward, I don't care who the Bengals play. The game plan has to be worked off the skill sets that are really good for Jake Browning. If you're getting them in 3rd and long, I know it sounds super scary or whatever, but you can't attempt with this guy to throw out routes or any. He just doesn't have an NFL arm. Like when I go back and watch the tape, it's worse than what I thought. Like he doesn't have an NFL arm, but he does have the capabilities of making plays to get the ball to playmakers. He does have the ability to process some quick stuff. Some of the blitz protection stuff he missed on, some of the stuff where he's supposed to go to the opposite end, he missed on a couple of those different things. Our friend of the show, Coach Kyle Kasky, did a bunch of good breakdowns on a lot of different things in that game that he didn't like too. I would advise you guys to go check that out too. But just here, right now, I'm just telling you right now, Jake Brown and his skill sets are going to be boot, play action, running things off of those, misdirection. And how do you do that? Running the football. And you might, and it might give him some boo birds, and I understand that. But early in this game, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, I'm not throwing deep shots with him. I'm throwing screens. I'm throwing maybe underneath routes, lots of digs and different things like that, where I'm forcing our playmakers who are healthy or who are playing in T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, and Jamar Chase. I'm going to give them the opportunity to go make some plays early in this game, or that could be T. Huddy too, or Joe Mixon out in the flats. There's so many different things that the Bengals could do to throw underneath routes and get Jake Brown in like some rhythm. And those are the things that I'm looking for. And you go to some of the things that the Bengals have done well, like throwing to Joe Mixon, which is down like a lot this year. I was looking at that list that I was just showing you. Travis Etienne is like 4th all-purpose with over 1,000 yards. In receiving yards, he's at the top. Do y'all know who is 3rd in the NFL in receiving yards from running backs? Samaje Perine.
It's crazy.
Ain't that something?
Yeah.
So, but I just want to throw that out there where I just feel like the Bengals could simplify so many different things to make it simple for Jake Browning. And I think it has to be like that every single week. And as you build on it, whether you win this game or not, You build on that, and then you start giving him tougher throws. I thought they came in with the Joe Burrow plan in the Steelers game, and if they would have just simplified the plan, I think you win that game, and we might be having a different conversation at 6-5 instead of 5-6, and that is crazy because you possibly talking about, hey man, let's just go win some games. Like now you're in a spot where this is literally probably the season you lose this game. So it is the season you lose this game. So we talk about the ramifications of the game like that. That's I don't know if anybody has said that. Like you lose this game, the season, playoffs.
Season's pretty much over. Especially
playoffs is over.
5-6, 5-7 is really a wrap at that point. The only path that I see, I talked about the turnovers. Another thing we kind of talked about, and I think our man G Will kind of talked about, was the importance of the trenches. And I know that seems like it's a repeat kind of thing, right? But when you look at the Jacksonville Jaguars, they are a team that has kind of struggled in the trenches with the offensive line. They've had some injuries there. They've had some inconsistencies. When you look at SIS, the metrics, they have what's called kind of the sonar depth chart, and it shows cold players are blue, hot players are orange or kind of red, right? Top percentage versus bottom percentage. That entire offensive line is blue. There is no middle, top, anything on that offensive line. That is somewhere where the Bengals can possibly get some pressure and make some things happen. You talk about DJ Reader. You talk about a guy like Miles Murphy who kind of hit his stride going up against a Little or Antoine Harrison. I like my chances when it comes to that. However, what does scare me on the Jacksonville offense outside of Etienne, Evan Ingram. This is a guy that can definitely make some plays. We just saw what Freiermuth did to us. He's low-key. If he's not, 1A in this offense as a receiving option, he's definitely 1B. So how they slow down Evan Ingram is definitely something there. On the flip side, you kind of talked about T. Higgins being back before we went live. What are your thoughts on T's impact on this game? Because him being in this game, he could go up against a familiar person in Darius Williams, who he kind of took advantage of before. So what are your thoughts on T being back in this game?
T is a big boost, man. I put it out there. I knew people weren't going to like it, but I was like, T, we were missing literally a top 10. You could say top 15 if you wanted, just whatever. But top 10 wide receiver for the last 3 weeks, and nobody even mentions it. I think that is insane to me. I get it. We got Jamar Chase, but nobody, even on the Bengals side, I just don't see anyone that mentions it. I think to say that this guy isn't going to give a boost, think about the games that he played in. I know it was Burrow throwing a pill, but come on, bro. Tyler Boyd, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins out there together all at once. I don't know why everybody's acting like that's super normal. And I understand it's gonna be tough to get them the ball to, but that's why the focus is on coaching to me.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely on coaching, and based off of what we saw last week, they are going to have to respond. I mean, there's a lot of people that are finally putting the coaching staff up under a microscope, and rightfully so, right? Even if the Bengals do not win this game, obviously you want them to win it. You have to, at minimum, see more better coaching, more better play calling, a will to try to win. There were situations I'm going to tell you this right now. Zach, if you're watching this whole 4th and short, trying to get guys to go off sides and all of that, just go for it, bro. You got Jake Browning as your quarterback. If you're in or close to the red zone or close to field goal range, just go for it. Nobody's jumping off sides, bro. Nobody's doing it, waiting until the clock goes down, and especially when it's on the 4th and 3, just go for it. At this point, just go for it.
Let me play devil's advocate. Say he goes for it and you don't get it, and then it has the makings of a blowout.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with it because how many times am I going to be in the red zone with Jake Browning at quarterback, right?
In the red zone, yeah.
I'm going to the red zone. You might be at just out of Jake Browning's field goal range, right? Go ahead and go
out of Evan McPherson.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
But no, I got you. Yeah, I thought you. I'm gonna tell you. I was watching the Lions last week. Have you seen how often they go for it?
Oh, they go for it a lot, bro. They went for it on their own 20.
But then when they lost that game by like literally like one touchdown or something, right? And then you kind of look back at it and say, damn, well, maybe if I didn't give them the ball like on our side. I thought you were saying like anytime, like let's just go, let's go all out.
No, and one proponent of that, man, and I'm not trying to rag on this kid because I know he's a rookie. You know, Brad Robbins has been struggling, man. It's too inconsistent for you to hope that he's gonna coffin corner a punt and try to stick them down there. Just go for it, man. If it's 4th and short, go for it. Now, if it's 4th and medium, 4th and long, cool. I'm good with you going ahead and punting it. But 4th and 3, 4th and 5 and less, man. Bring Jamar Chase out the backfield. Throw him that joint on a dump off like you would Joe Mixon or somebody, and just get the first down. I mean, let's just do it.
You know what's so crazy? The best kicker, the best punter in the NFL is a free agent this upcoming season. I think it's the punter for the Titans, I believe. I forgot the guy's name. But
you
like
talking about Stonehouse?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's something to keep an eye on.
I don't want to, for no pun intended, I don't want to punt on our punter yet. I mean, I'm trying to give the kid time, but
it's a conversation. I feel like right now the Bengals are in this window, and this year I was saying this all day today. I thought the Bengals, this was a Super Bowl or bust year. We talked about the beginning of the season. Well, and I like, I see a couple of purple people in the house tonight. I love how like online they're like, y'all act like y'all was going did it. I'm like, dude.
Bro, I'm gonna tell you straight up. Until they win a playoff game, I don't want to hear anything from them.
Right.
Like, I really don't.
One playoff game in the last 9 years.
Like this, like the Ravens doing good in the regular season isn't new. The Ravens doing good in the postseason would be new in recent history. Like that hasn't happened. So, like if I didn't see Bengals fans sitting up here talking and any of that. Especially when we were in the drought of not having that playoff win, right? Like the Bengals in most recent history in the AFC North have the most recent playoff victory. So I don't even know what we're doing. What we're talking about.
Back-to-back AFC
like, it's
North
cool.
champion.
You could talk about this season, but at the end of the day, when we get to week 19 or whatever, if you don't show up, you're getting clowned on this app by like everybody. I hope you know that.
You're gonna get clowned on this show too.
Right.
I was gonna say this. I like how everybody's acting like the Bengals like didn't start off as the second best Super Bowl odds, to win the Super Bowl. When it was first released, it was the Chiefs and it was the Bengals all the way up until like after the draft, we slopped down to the 4th, 5th spot. And I think it's so crazy that now that Burrow's out, you're hearing all of these different takes from all these people to suggest that the Bengals are less than. And I feel like the Bengals have taken a big step back on the defensive end. On the offensive end, I feel like they're just like one Burrow away. And maybe they lose a game or something, here or two there. But I really still think that the roster is like legitimately good enough to win some of these games.
I agree with you.
But there's going to be like heavy turnover. And I guess my main point, or not heavy turnover, light turnover this all season. I guess my point about the Robbins thing is like the next 2 years are very, very important because Joe Burrow's cap hits along with Jamar Chase's cap hits on his new contract that he's going to get, they're all going to be scheduled to have big hits in the 2026 season. So the next 2 seasons, like watching Trey Hendrickson, Sam Hubbard, all these contracts start to expire in that window. It's really like this year and the next 2 years are like the windows. If you want any free agent, you want anybody like that, that's what you gotta go, go get these guys in that time frame. But that's the only reason I brought up like something like a punter. If you know that this guy isn't, we're evaluating though. So for the rest of the season, we got enough time with Brad Robbins. He's got to be able to consistently put together a string of games where he's punting to the level that we need him to. I don't need him to be the best, punter in the NFL, but I need him to be consistent.
I could have sworn on a funny note, after one of them where he messed it up, he dropped the F-bomber and you could hear it on the broadcast.
I hear it. He should though. You got Drew Chrisman out here doing every single job known to man. Shout out to Drew Chrisman. Y'all have to follow him on like Instagram and Twitter. He's doing this this campaign where he just works for all these different places. So he went to the place, I think it's called Cookie Crumble or something. And he worked the whole day there. Like, bro, it's so good. It's such good. I hate using the word content because it's like, it's such good video that this guy's putting out like every day. But he should be punting in the NFL. And I mean, I thought he was better than Robbins, like ultimately.
Yeah, so what we want to do is also get into some Q&A. Before we do that, let's just put a bow on the game. Like, if the Bengals were to win this game, Zim, by somehow, how do they win this game?
They're going to have to and I had this tweet out. I said I want to see the young guys, and I think this is part of it. You're going to get juice, and you need coaching all in one. So you got these guys now, energized guys. You heard T. Higgins talk about, man, I'm here to help the team. I want to be here, all these different things. So you got the extra juice from that. You got all the juice from these young dudes, too, that need to be out there on the field. I still think Mixon should be the lead back for sure. But I do think we do need to see some runs from Chase Brown. And the reason why I'm saying is that say that the run game isn't hitting. You said that you talked about the run defense being really, really good. A change of pace and just seeing if you could do something in a full week where you had an extra day. Can you create some runs that can work for this team? Can this guy Chase Brown play 20 snaps? Maybe he gets a chance for 2 receptions. Maybe he gets a chance to get like 6 running snaps, but I mean, six rushes, 5 rushes, something like that, and Mixon still be the lead back. Maybe you do split backs with them at the same time. But I'm looking for that to happen sometime in this game where you're integrating both running backs in there. So you're giving the defense this double dose of stuff. So you're not putting the whole load of the little bit of 8 runs that Mixon had last week. Instead, I'm looking for 18 to 24 runs. Like, I know that's a high number. Part of that is predicated on you have to run successfully over 4.1 yards a clip in order to create this formula that I'm saying. But that's why I talked about early on them making it simple for Jake Browning. So what? A screen gets blown up. We're going to run it again in the second quarter if it doesn't work in the first. So what? This run doesn't work to the left side. We're going to run the same action to the right. We're going to go back and do some of the things that are simplified, and we're going to run 12 of our best plays, that we're going to run consistently over and over and over again until they can't do nothing but adjust to it. And that's the best way. And I will go through this practice this week, showing things that I know they're in the playbook that Jake Browning can do, where he can get out and go on boots. And when I tell people going out on boots and you got your quarterback running around right there, it now gets him in a situation where he has 2-3 reads on half the field. You're now cutting off half the field, so you're not having to read the whole entire field. And if he's able to throw a throw in a window, cool. If somebody's out in the flat and they're wide open, cool. If not, use his legs, improvise, or throw the ball away. We go on to the next play. And we play the field position thing, and we ask our defense to make some stops. And I know they haven't been doing that much lately, but they got to do it. It's prime time. It's Monday night. Last time we was on prime time was that Rams game. The defense balled out. So maybe they can come out there, cause some turnovers. You never know. But to me, the main thing is simplifying the game plan for your quarterback and getting the ball to your weapons.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the last time was the Ravens game, but I get what you're saying. The Rams game formula is what needs to happen. I agree with you, too, that they do need to run the ball. The funny thing has been, I know Joe Goodberry, when he was in the space, he says that the coaching staff may sometimes lean on the analytics, and so they might look at this and say, oh, this is a team that we might struggle to run against. The funny thing has been the tougher defenses to run against. The Bengals have run pretty good against them, right? You talk about the 49ers. You talk about a lot of these other teams. So I think I agree with you. Like, you have to run it no matter what. Who cares if it's a stingy run defense? Do what you can to build around Jake Browning. Work those turnovers, get Trevor Lawrence to give you some of those things, and try to have a game like the defense had against the Rams. I think, like you said, Zim, that is the perfect plan for them. So now we're going to open it up to the Q&A. I have some questions that were asked for earlier in the show, but please fill this chat with any of the questions that you may have. Let's get into one of these ones that I was able to find earlier. This one from Burrow 9 says, do you think Lou needs to blitz more? What are you thinking, Zim?
No. I think Blue Lou needs to tell his guys to probably play a little bit more press and variations of press concepts that don't allow zones or guys to run free through zones. And then you're asking the front to get home. Early in the game, I just think I don't want to give Trevor Lawrence any easy reads. I would send pressure late in the game, but maybe not early on. I don't know if he was talking about like just in general, but I think, when you're not getting enough pressure, I get it, but it's just opening up a can of worms. I feel like another thing real quick. When I rewatched that game, that was probably one of Logan Wilson's worst games that I've seen him in a Bengals uniform. And I don't know if it was like he was just confused on different stuff, but they were attacking him. And so if you're blitzing, now you're asking Logan Wilson to turn his hips and run with Evan Ingram, and and these are the things that I'm just like, I don't know. You got Christian Kirk out there, you got guys like Ridley or whatever. One thing
plays, yeah.
Did you talk about Cam Robinson going on IR? I know you talked about
the offensive line being an issue, and Cam is kind of in a way related to that. But
you talked about it pretty much been in the blue.
Yeah, I wouldn't say we need to blitz at all. Based off of that blue and what we saw with the line, I think that you can get pressure with 4. So I don't think so. And I think, like Zim is saying, after what happened to you against Pratt Freiermuth, I think the last thing that you want to do is blitz, because Evan Ingram is just going to kill you on that hot read if that's what you end up doing. Here's one from Mike S. He says, who is going to get franchised next year, T or Jonah Williams?
T.
Yeah, I think it's going to be T, man. I mean, Jonah, there's a chance. I would put it 70-30 T over Jonah, depending on how things go. I would say that they would favor T. And you could say that so if I'm playing devil's advocate, you could say because the wide receiver class is deep, you might consider Jonah, which I just threw up in my mouth because you guys know how I feel about said player. But I would think I'm with Zim. I think that they would side with T on that.
I mean, can I just say why I think real quick? The Jonah one, I know we kind of getting close to the end of it. The Jonah one, I mean, bro, he is about to get paid between $80 and $100 million for average O-line play. I can't do it. I mean, I'm already looking at the one guy that I think I want is Trent Brown from the Patriots. I don't know what that price tag looks like, but that's a mammoth of a football player, 6'8", 350 pounds, that I would much rather have. You're also going to get the 3rd round pick for Jonah leaving. The T1
pick, yeah.
The T1 to me is just, that's your biggest asset. If you tag him, I said tag, and somebody's offering you a first, because they're not going to offer you none of that stuff for Jonah, not to pay that salary.
Yeah, they just tried to trade Jonah. Didn't they take?
I mean, it was the Jaguars. Ironically, it was the Jaguars. Ironically, was the one team that was linked to them, and yeah, I don't want to speculate on that too much, but I will say that the if you have T Higgins as a first round, you're throwing it out there and you're pitching, we need a first back. Maybe you entertain a first, and I would take a late round pick if it were me.
Did somebody offer me a first for Jonah though?
Nobody's offering no first for Jonah.
I don't.
Well, I mean, you don't own the rights to Jonah though because of the 5-year option. It was
you have to franchise him and do. Yeah, you turn down the 5-year option. So yeah, I'm with you. I think the biggest asset is
because I'm tagging T. In the scenario,
because you wouldn't say Jonah Williams is a top 15 tackle. You could definitely say T Higgins is a top 15 receiver when he's healthy, no doubt. Hunter Morse here. What is the weakness of the Jags defense? I would say if you're looking at the numbers, it says the secondary. However, they are getting some decent plays. So I don't want you to think that we could just completely torch them, but teams are opting to pass against them rather than run. So I would probably say if there is a weakness, that's it. They do have a pretty good pass rush, though, when you talk about Josh Allen. You talk about some of the guys, Olukun. You talk about the secondary. They've got Jenkins, Campbell, Darius Williams, but then remember Darius Williams is a little short. So I would say those are some of the weaknesses there. Zim, will we see DJ Ivy this season?
I don't think so, unless it's an injury. I feel like the guys that we got, with Cheeto, maybe making his last hurrah. I just don't think that. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. I think if we see him, it's on special teams at this point. I think like you're going to get a lot of DJ Turner. You're going to get a lot of CTB. I think that's the future. I wouldn't mind seeing DJ Ivy. Like if they get to a point where it's really just evaluation time, and you need to see what DJ Ivy brings to the table, especially next year with him possibly stepping up in a depth role. Sure, like maybe you see from that standpoint, but as it stands now, I think with them still in contention, you're not going to see it. But maybe towards week 17, 18, I wouldn't be surprised.
Right. Yeah, I see that.
Here's one, Zimmy. How many touchdowns will Jake Shiesty get?
2.
I think he can get 2. I think he can get either 2 passing ones. I think he can get 1 on the ground. I can think
one on the ground, 1 throwing. That's what I was gonna say.
Either way, I think he can get a couple of touchdowns. But with that being said, we're gonna need Jake to cook. And speaking of cooking, let's toss it to our friends at Midwest Best Barbecue. Shout out to Midwest Best Barbecue 669 in Justice Court, Loveland, Ohio. They're going to get you right. They're going to get you all of the good food out there. They've got the chicken wings. They've got the barbecue. They've got it all. Some of the best wings in Cincinnati are there. Some of the best brisket that you'll ever have in Cincinnati is there. Pulled pork, whatever it is, ribs, all of that. They've got it at Midwest Best Barbecue. Stop in and let Nicole and Tim know that Ace and Zim sent you there. Also, for me, give me one of those Arnold Palmer's, dog. Take some of that lemonade, mix it with the sweet tea. It will change your life. Midwest Best Barbecue in Loveland, Ohio. Zimmy, was there anything that you wanted to say before we get up out of here, bro?
No, I feel like we covered some good stuff. I feel like
Bengals wearing all white, everything.
All white. A lot of people, I saw a lot of controversy on that. People were like, man, we can't lose. We're undefeated in those. We can't wear those uniforms. But in my mind, it's just like, let's go out there. Let's feel good. Let's play good. I think the Bengals are very capable of winning this game. And I think a lot of people are taking it for granted on, like us losing, a 3-point thriller to the Texans with Tyler Boyd having to drop in the end zone, or whether it be us losing last week by 6 points, or Joe Burrow going out in that Ravens game. Like, these aren't games that, like, what I'm saying? I feel like we got the season together after it started off rough, and then the roster started to show itself. I think with T. Higgins out there, Jamar Chase and Tyler Boyd, it is going to be problematic, I think, for, Browning to get the ball to them effectively if they're just keeping the same Joe Burrow package. Now, I will say the Jags are like, I think this number had changed, but they had been giving up over 250 yards passing, which was third most given up in the NFL as of last week. I know it's probably updated a little bit because they had a pretty good game last week, but they're not one of the better teams as far as defending the pass in the NFL. And so you're telling me the best weapons in the NFL aren't capable of like doing anything? Like, it's just I can't really buy that. I feel like the Bengals are not a bad, aren't Patriots bad or whatever, but I feel like our fan base is so spoiled with Joe Burrow play that they don't, like, it's like, man, forget these guys. Like, they're still better than a lot of teams, and they got to really, really just, just outcoach some people, and that's why all eyes on Zach. and Callahan and the crew and Lou Anarumo. Lou Anarumo is not, excluded from this either. So if they can put together their coaching hats and put this thing together, I think they have all the tools to go and win this game. Sun TMONT predicted 23-20 Wincinnati. That's a good number. I like that number.
Let's get it. Follow the Wincinnati Pod at Wincinnati Pod on Twitter. Follow Zim at Zim Hude on Twitter. Follow me at New Stripe City. Make sure that you comment, like, and subscribe. We appreciate that. We have a lot of views coming in lately, so please be sure to hit that subscribe button. We truly appreciate that. That helps grow the channel. That helps grow the network. We also have the Bengals post with Jake and Mon. Definitely be sure to check those out. They're going to be having their 100th episode tomorrow. So definitely make sure that you tap in, support them, support the content, and support the Bengals because we're going to be here. Cincinnati's going to be here all day, every day, and especially on Monday. Let's get it. Who they?
Who they? It's an exciting time to be a Bengals fan.
I'm Ace.
We got a special show as always.
The voice of the Bengals.
Hello,
and Willie Anderson, Corey Dillon.
The name of this thing is called Wincinnati, and I'm not going to stop.
Talk to us about that roller coaster season.
I'm still gonna give you the same AJ.
I'm gonna work as hard as I can to be the best.
Always working ever since I met y'all, boy.
I gotta get your top 5 receivers.
Good, bro. Watch out for us.